Hello and welcome to our IELTS practice session. Okay, before everything, you should understand what is the structure of the exam. As you can see here, uh, in IELTS.org as a first reference of this exam. Guys, what is going on here? Nothing. Guys, at any point, if you feel nauseous, if you feel stressed out, if you feel not completely follow up of what I'm saying, just raise your hand. I always check this here. I always check it here. Oh, what is going on? It's too laggy. I always check it here that maybe we have to switch it on Farsi. Okay. This exam has 4 different sections: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Okay. The listening section has 4 parts. Each part has about 10 questions, completely 10 questions. Look, and the thing here is you have different type of questions. Okay, you have something like filling a form, you have something like follow up a map, you have something like listening to a classroom or something like this. Speaking between persons, it is started from the second section. It means from the second section you will have a speaking at least bet, between two persons, uh, and in the last section you will just have a monologue from one person. The thing here is you have some multiple choice questions matching different type of questions. Plan, map, diagram, labeling. It's something really trivial and easy. Form, note, table, flowchart, summary, completion. And the thing that is makes some differences, huge differences between the IELTS and the TOEFL is that with IELTS, in the last part, which is part 4, which is question number 31 to 40, 30 to 40, you have in a minimum level of difficulty as it has in TOEFL. So the low difficulty level of TOEFL is the highly difficulty level of IELTS. So it is completely understandable that we have to go to the IELTS exam. Okay, different questions, but all of them is really tangible, really understandable, really easy to follow up. Okay, let me have one. Okay. Academic reading. As the second section, you will have 3 different passages, let's say it, text articles, and the logic and the topics is going from or less general to something advanced, something really academic. So exactly same as OS, what we had is that in reading, exactly the last part is the most difficult one, and the level of difficulty is the lowest one in the TOEFL exam. And exactly because of these two facts, we have to go for the IELTS. Okay. But here we have some different type of questions. Multiple choice questions, identifying information. You have to find some information and mark it as yes, this information is come from paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, or it's not completely in the topic. We have two type of questions that they are really the same: true, false, not given, or yes, no, not given. They are in the multiple choice question maybe. Look, These two type of questions that we will see it soon, they have some differences, but the general idea is the same. In true, false, not given, they will give you a sentence about one of each paragraphs. And they ask you, is it true? Is it talked exactly about in the paragraph, any of them, in the passage, maybe in general? You have to you have to say yes, no, you have to say it is true, it was, it is false, no, it wasn't, or it doesn't given. True, false, not given. Or yes, no, not given. When it said true, it means that is it here or not. When it said yes, it means you have to find it exactly, not in general. Okay, so this is two different types that you have to be aware of. The terms true, false, not given, yes, no. And these things, identifying writers or viewers claim or idea or I don't know what they are talking about, you have to follow it. So matching information. When it's a matching information or matching headings, look, when it says matching headings or matching information, it means you have to read the whole passage. There is no, I don't know, trick. There is no, I don't know, scan it. Yes, yes, you have to do something like this, but it's not the first step. In the first step, when you see the passage, you have to get some ideas from it. And these ideas are completely came from reading the passage. So you have to read the passage first. But you have to read it fast. You are not allowed to read the, for example, 6 paragraph passage in 15 minutes. Remember, you just have, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? 16 minutes. 1 hour just. In 1 hour, you have 3 different passages. Chronologically, they are going to be difficult. Okay, chronologically means step by step, in a row of time, in a manner of time. The first one is much easier than the second one, and the second one is much easier than the third one, and the third one is the most difficult one. And in best cases, if you answer all the questions from correctly, obviously correctly, if you answer all the questions obviously correctly from the two first sections, you can maybe, regarding the criteria of the university and the application form and the goals, you can skip the last one. Skip the last one. You can, especially and the same can goes for the, for example, let's say it, the listening. You can skip the last section, but if you are very completely 100% assured that you answered all the first 30 questions correctly, if you answer them, you can skip the last section. But because it's so difficult, you can skip it. But you can answer, for example, 1 to 2 questions. Remember, you do not have any negative point. So try to answer as much as you think they are trying to, are seems to be logical. Any questions? Any question? Okay, no question. Let's go. We will see all the type of the questions in different passages. And here, look, we have, let's say summary, note, table, flowchart, completion. What does it mean? It means you should read the passage. And look, all of us are some persons from academia, and it means we have to read many papers in our field of study, and it means we should read them and we should try to able ourselves as a kind of a thing, as a kind of a power to read English text in a faster time, in a quicker time, in a short time. You know what I mean? I mean, you have to read it as fast as you think, with some notation of understanding. With some notion of understanding. I don't know, 70%, 76%, 78, 79. That would be fine. That would be perfect. If you read the whole paper, the whole passage, and understand it, 77% of it, it would be perfect. Let's go for the answers. Let's go for the questions. That would be perfect. Okay. Let's go back to listening. I have to mention something. Look, here, they said that a conversation, recording one, a conversation between two people set in an everyday social context. What does it mean? It means it is something uh, for daily life. Recording two, a monologue set in everyday social context, a speech about local facilities. I don't know. Let's say about what we have in the park, what we should have in the park. Do we need a museum in our city or something like this? Recording three, a conversation between up to four people set in educational or training context. From here, from recording three and recording four, you are going to be in an academia mode. Okay, but remember, listening is a general. Listening for general and academia guys is the same. Academic guys is the same. Okay, so these two first is for general one, and these two second is for the academic ones. So if you want to go for the academic, be aware you should get the whole 20 scores from these two, and for example 7 from the third, and for example 5 or 6 from the last one. What does it mean? It means 60% of this one should be correct, while it is a monologue on an academic subject. But be aware that it is the most easiest one if you are going to talk in a TOEFL context. Okay? Remember, we have something how it's marked. It's how it's marked is simply you have some answers, you all the answers have the same weight, okay? And each weight will be calculated to give you a mark from 0 to 9. Exactly the same. Exactly the same for the reading. But remember, you have to check the spelling and grammar. There is no, I don't know, uh, let's say there is time for checking the grammar and spelling, but there is no nushtaru. I don't know how to say nushtaru. If you write something incorrectly in terms of grammar or spelling, okay, and they give you the mark. There's no and something like that. If you write it something in the spelling or grammar wrong, you will get 0. You will get nothing. Okay. And also, the paper sheet should be something, let's say, clear, tidy. Okay. Oh, the same would be go for the academic. In academic, most of the questions are choosing questions. You have to choose from something to something. Okay. Everything is multiple choice, identify information, identify your claim. So how it's marked is like that the choices regarding the choices, because there is no something that you have to write. Okay, so if there is nothing to write, if there's nothing to write, it means everything is based on what you choose, and try to choose the correct one, and choose all of them. There is no what negative point. Okay, this two is for the listening and reading section. We have a general reading. Come on. Okay, academic writing. Okay, academic writing. In academic writing, we have two different sections. The first one is should take your time about let's say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and done. And the last one should get your time about 40, 35 minutes. The second one is something that you have to deduce. You have to be more logic and reasonable. You have to give some, let's say, examples. You have to give some, let's say, facts. No matter, make it up. Some facts, some examples. I don't know. Make it up. Make it up means create it right now completely from zero. Create it from scratch. There is no need to, this answer should be correctly in terms of honestly. You are not evaluated with your honestly. You are evaluated with your English language coherence, cohesion, and something like this. Any question? Okay. Guys, do you follow me? Do you understand me? I'm trying to speak in a really calm manner. If you don't understand, sure, perfect. Let's go. God, good. Someone get negative. Okay, perfect. So you can lie, you can say something completely bullshit, no matter, but you have to make some kind of cohesion, make some kind of coherent, make some kind of connection between what you are saying. It should follow some logics, especially in writing, especially in your speaking. In your writing, in task 2, you will give some kind of deduction questions. You have to deduce it. You have to give some logic, some answers, some facts in a matter of fact of I understand this and I have some point of view. I have some let's say it, I have some rigid ideas. Rigid means something that complete, dense, too poor ideas about what you are asking. So in task 2, you have to bring it on. Everything you have. You have to present it. Especially for your, I don't know if you are trying to get some TA or A. No. For TA, they will follow your speaking abilities. But for RA, those guys that wants to be a research assistant at laboratories, you should be aware of what you are trying to write. How far can you go to and expand your ideas? Not too much, not too slow. And remember, in task 2, it is better to write about 250. It should be right something. 250 at least. Will not be penalized for writing more than 250s. Mm-hmm. At least 250, more than about, let's say 290 would be perfect. 219 means 2 paragraphs, 3 paragraphs. And for the task 1, you are asking to at least 150. And in this 150, be aware, your question is to express, it is to, what is it? Explain, okay? Explain a diagram, a flow chart, I don't know, a map, I don't know, a bar graph, something like this. You have to follow some understanding notations little by little, follow notations, understand little by little in a paragraph, in a graph, in a, I don't know, figure. Okay, you have to follow it. Yeah, yearly, monthly, I don't know, for example, daily, the prices, you have to follow it. So when you have to follow it, it means you should know some keywords that how to express, how to describe, okay, how to illustrate, okay, how to illustrate a figure for IELTS task 1. there is some keywords, no more than 50, I will say it. No more than 50. You have to know it, memorize all the 50 words. Okay? And if you remember, memorize it, these 50 words, you will be more powerful than everyone to express your idea. Remember, you will get, let's say it, if you get 9 from writing, and you get 20 minutes for task 1 and 40 minutes for task 2, means that you are going to receive, it's an unwritten law, but it is more or less like this. You will get about 6 out of 9 for the task 2 and more or less 3 for the task 1. So be aware, it is not exactly written, there is no law like this, there is no rule like this, but be aware of this, that you have to put all your knowledge, English knowledge, grammar, for the task 2. Okay, but those guys that wants to pass the general, in task 2 we have the same path, both of us, academic and general. We have the same second topic, but the first one is something like writing a letter to somewhere, like, I don't know, any office, any official, something like this. Okay, how they evaluate the writing section? Look, lexical resource means how much you have vocabularies, expand it as much as you can. Coherence and cohesion means the connection and understandable of what you are saying. The first one, that is key one, that is important one. Task response. You have to answer the task. If it is say agree or disagree, you cannot say I don't follow up, I don't know. No, you have to respond correctly to the task. If it's a what is your idea, you are not allowed to talk about, I don't know, the scientist's ideas. No, you have to express your idea, even in one sentence, even in one mini paragraph, but you have to say your idea. And also grammatical resource, range and accuracy. What does it mean? It means in your text, okay, in your text, they are searching for something like, not only but also, however, as a matter of fact, moreover, they are searching for these things. They are some grammatical connection, junction, okay? They are trying to connect some phrases. Maybe they have different, let's say different what? Maybe they have different ideas, positive ideas, negative ideas, for comparison, for show the disagreement. Okay, but you have to use these words. All these words, task 2 and task 1, all together is much about 150. No more than 200 words. You do not need more than 200 words. You do not need it. Keywords, keywords that you need to use it exactly in your text. Yes, when you put these 200 words in a different manners in every writing that you are trying to write, and put some stories, put some facts, put some scientific results, put some examples as to what I'm talking about. Between these 200 words, any of these 200 words, you will get something really perfect. Done. This is task. Any question? Yes. We will go for the samples and the examples. Yes, we will go for it. Okay. And this is the academic and the speaking. Speaking is the most really nice one. Why I always ask you to go for the IELTS, not go for the, I don't know, TOEFL, I don't know, the new exam, what is it, Duolingo, something like that. you are trying to do some immigration mentally, physically, completely. Okay, you will move your whole body to another country to talk with some persons that they are not in your mother tongue. They don't know anything about Farsi. They don't know anything about what you are talking about, but what you have as an idea. Okay, not even culturally. Okay, we are completely separated far from each other. Okay, and the first the first FaceTime, the first face to face with you and someone that is completely far from what you have and what you done and what you did is exactly on your speaking section. What does it mean? It means you have a person exactly in front of you. You can act. You can do some rising, falling notation and rising, falling speaking and intonations and different. I don't know. Let's say thinking gesture that I'm trying to understand it. Let's say, could you please repeat it? Could you please slow it? Could you please? Yes, this is the key point that it will show and it will practice what you have in a good level to try to understand a person that it is not in your mother language. It is a first experience and it is a really good experience. Believe me, talk to each other in a face-to-face mode, not with I don't know TOEFL, I don't know Duolingo, I don't know. Hey, camera, how are you doing? Oh, come on, the camera is not the person. Even if the person exactly in front of the camera, on the other side you have it, but it's not the physical person that you can touch and act and see what you have in your mind. Okay, so this is the first person. This is the one of the biggest points that you have to follow the IELTS. It's a really advantage of the IELTS that you will learn how to talk, not just connecting some words and I don't know phrases and grammar and verbs and done. No, you have to bring it completely on from your soul that I'm trying to understand as the Gandalf, the Grey. Okay, you have 11 to 14 minutes. 11 to 14 minutes in three different sections. The first section is some trivial questions about you, about what you like, about what you dislike, about what you are learning, about what is your reason to study and exam the English IELTS exam. And the second section is some kind of following in a really smooth manner of the first section. And it means it's not so far from what you have talked about. But the difference here is the second section is an individual long term. You have to talk about 2 minutes. Okay, it's not exactly 2 minutes, but you have to full it completely, full it. Okay, you cannot stop it at 1 minute. Otherwise you will lose much marks as you cannot even go for the retake the exam. Okay, so you have to complete the 1 to 2 minute talk, and you have about 30 seconds to warm up, something like this. 30 seconds or 1 minute to warm up means you will have some questions and you have to find some answers for the uh, questions. All the questions are WH questions, means when, where, how, whom, with, why, something like this. Okay, and the topic. So in 1 to 2 minutes you will go individually talking about that about the cue card. They call the cards that has the questions, they call it cue cards. Okay, so you will go for the cue cards and uh, write some answers and start speaking. Remember, you are not allowed to write your answers. You have to write some bullet point keywords. Bullet point, you know what it is. What is bullet point? Yeah, bullet point, bullet point, like this, point, like this. Oh, like this, exactly. Like the keywords, keywords. Look, be aware. You have to exactly like this. Find one, uh, two, three for each question word, and then, and then start to, yeah, and then expand it with your story, with your idea, with your, I don't know, with everything you want. Expand it. Expand for each question. You remember, for each question you will have, for example, two, one, three keyword, and start to expand it one by one to answer all the questions. Remember, you have to exactly write write exactly like the writing. You have to make the assessment. Look, you have to have the connection between the answers. You have to answer all the questions. If in section 2 you have 4 questions, you should follow all the 4 questions. If it has 3, you should go for 3. So remember, this is the point that you are going to show that I can able and I'm able to talk for 1 2 minutes non-stop. Perfectly, go ahead. And in part 3, look, in part 3, you will start some little small question discussion. What does it mean, discussion? Means he will be disagree with you. He will ask you for some claim. He will ask you for some reasonable facts, okay, about what you are saying. So he will get the sword naked. شمشیر رو میکشه بیرون. Yeah, something like this. Any question? Okay. He will ask you some question to give you some more fact, go for detail, go to deeper points. Okay, so remember, this is the last part, and then you will have your mark in about 1 week, 2 week later. And if you go for the computer based, as I know up to now, you can have all them together. Maybe, I don't know. But if your handwriting, especially for writing section, because in listening and reading, you have less thing to write, but in writing, really you have to write. But if your handwriting is something helpful, try to practice it, try to improve it, and then try to go for it. Okay, let's go for the resources. What you have to follow for any exam, any English exam, any general exam, you have to follow and complete a basic general book. A basic general book. What I mm, suggest you is, where is it? Where is it? What I suggest you is the touchstone. Completely in advanced level, in adults. I don't know. Maybe you are seeing this name. No, maybe no. Look here. It's a for bozoksalan, for adults. Okay. So this book is something that you have to complete it in 1 month. In 1 month, you have to complete it in 1 month, and then start with these books. These at least Furnish has it 1 to 60. I guess the 17th one is completely accessible. These are Cambridge IELTS exams, and the point here is they have 4 different exams, and each exam is the real one from the year. In each year, they will have, for example, about, let's say, 100, 40, 55, I don't know, 56, some number of exams, and they collect four of them and put it in the Cambridge IELTS series. Okay, Cambridge IELTS series. It has the PDF one, and thank you so much for the offer, Nish. They bring all of them all together. Let's go for one of them. Yes, 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 yes. Perfect. Uh, Beside this one, you have two things much more better. The callings one. Callings for listening, vocabulary, speaking, reading, grammar, and okay, you can go for this one as well. Point. Important point. You are not allowed, and you are not allowed, and you don't need at all to follow a grammar book completely. Most of us know grammar in use. Okay, all of you know what is grammar in use, right? Grammar in use is a book. Know it. I know. The reason that you are not allowed and you don't need to go for the grammar, because as you understand and as you see, I do not follow any grammar rule. I don't know what is grammar. Why? Because the most important point for speaking and writing is your lexical resource. Expand your vocabulary knowledge. Expand your vocabulary. Yes. Go for vocabulary for IELTS, Collins version, and go for vocabularies, uh, the, the official one, and go for any type of vocabulary, because the vocabularies are those ones that are changing I don't know, every day. They're expanded every day, and you have to go for it, know it, understand it, because the grammar is something to bound it, okay, but vocabulary is something that always be expanded. And also the grammar, you don't have grammar in listening, you don't have grammar in reading, you have grammar in writing and speaking. But the point here is you can cover up, camouflage your low level of grammar, especially in speaking, with your lexical resource, with your expanded vocabulary. Okay? And also for the writing, you have the enough grammar already. You have enough grammar. And you know all the uh, times, tones, times. I don't know. Past perfect, past participle, something like that. You know all of them. And this one was completely full. And remember something that we remember in a speaking section two, in a speaking section, go up, go up. In a speaking section two, long term one, always the question is about the past. Is about the past. Most of the time is about the past. They will not ask you about something in future. All of the time about, I don't know, let's say 96, 96, 97% of the time, they will ask about the past. So be aware of what the verbs notions, what is the verb notions for the past. And after callings, you have this complete bridge. For me, the IELTS complete version, especially started from 6.5 to 7.5. You are going to follow this one, okay? After reading the touchstones, go for this one. Oh, I fucked up. Okay, go for this one. 6.5, 7.5. Go for this one. Simultaneously, when you start this one, start the Cambridge versions 1 to 12, 1 to 10. Okay, because each of them, Cambridge IELTS 10, Cambridge IELTS 11, okay, each of them is for 1 year. For examples from 1 year. So it is better for you to have some kind of coverage book like exactly complete IELTS. Okay, and also you have the callings that you can follow in, for example, 1 week, 2 week. You have to complete all these 6 books in about 1 week. Every day, just 1 book should be finished. This is the point of being success. Okay, so when you know the resources, when you know the formats, let's have a look for the test 1, test 2, test 3, test 4, audio script, listening and reading. Okay, what was it, the version? 16. Okay, these are not something that you want to follow. No, no, no. Oh, look. If you get 9, you will get the expert user, very good user, component user, modest user, limited, extremely limited, intermediate, bam. Okay, this is not something that you want to follow. But be aware that you have to go for the 7 or above. 7 or above. Okay. Task 1, listening. Questions 1 to 10. Complete the notes below. Look. Write one word and or a number for each answer. Okay. I'm waiting for downloading this one. Okay. Before this one is downloading, let me show you something. I don't know if you can update on this. I don't know if you can listen it or not. Let me check it. Okay, guys, let me show you something. The IELTS listening test. This is not an official website for the listening, but it has all the type in different level of difficulties for the listening. Okay, we will go for one of them. Maybe no, maybe this one is enough, but I'm waiting for the downloading. 4 minutes, 2 minutes. Go ahead. Okay. IELTS is speaking.
All right, let's begin. So, could you tell me your full name, please?
My full name is Minjung Kim.
Okay, Minjung. And are you working or are you a student?
I'm a student currently.
What are you studying?
I'm studying tourism and event management in Gyeonggi University, which is located in Seoul, Korea. But I'm also studying graphic design beside.
And do you like your course?
I love my course actually. In my tourism and event management, we learn about marketing, tourism, and basically all the events, like even the international conference kind of thing. So I'm very into it.
Okay. And could you describe your hometown for me?
My hometown is Busan, which is also known as the second capital of Korea, which first is Seoul, obviously. Yeah, I love my capital. I mean, Busan. Yes.
Is there anything you dislike about your hometown?
Well, if I have to, pick one, I would say the humidity. Because Busan is surrounded by ocean. There's, when it's summer, I get sweaty, and then the humidity makes me even, stickier. So that's the thing I don't like about.
Absolutely. All right, now let's talk about colors. So, what is your favorite color?
My favorite color was brown, but then it changed to purple. Purple, I like purple because I like the lavender, the flower. And I mean, it's the color of lavender is purple. And also purple makes me feel very, it's like my color, my favorite clothes color would be purple. So yeah, that's why I like.
Okay. And are there any colors that you dislike?
I don't like color yellow. It's not because, like, there's not obvious reasons for that, but like, when I wear something yellow, like the color yellow clothes, that makes me look very pale. So that's why I dislike it.
Okay. And what colors do your friends like the most?
My friends, I think they like black the most because black is like the most common color for everyone. So it goes with everything. And also white, the same reason.
Okay. And in terms of your home decoration, what color do you think suits a home decoration?
Definitely beige, like brownish color, or like even white. Because I think all my desk or like chair is in color brown. So if I choose too bright color, for example, as like mint or pink, I think it isn't suitable for my room. Yeah.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about new activities. Okay, so do you like to try new activities?
I love trying new things. I am actually an adventure lover, so I love trying new things. Yes, definitely.
And are there any activities you would like to try in the future?
I would love to try snowboarding because during winter, as I said, I am very of an active person. I love winter sports, but I've only tried skiing. So, and snowboarding is like looks so cool, but like I've never tried it. So like, yeah, that's the one I want to really try.
Okay. And do you like to try new activities alone or with friends?
I would say for the first time, I would need friends to be with me because so that like if I fall down, they could, hold me. But like the second or third time, it doesn't matter if I'm with someone or not.
All right. And have you ever tried a new activity and not enjoyed it?
That I never thought of. I think I'll say no because like if I try new stuff, I definitely learn something from it. So like even though I don't like it, like dislike it, I would like eventually know that, oh, I dislike this and then like learn something from it. So I wouldn't say I dislike it. I just like it's not my thing. Yeah.
Yeah, good attitude. Yeah. All right, that'll do us for part one. Let's move on to part two now. Give you your question. So this is your question. There's pen or pencil, whichever one you want. Okay, so I'll give you 1 minute to do some note taking.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, you can begin. All right, then Minjung, that's 1 minute. All right, so could you describe someone you really like to spend time with?
Okay. I love spending time with my best friend. I met her in my high school time. I was in international school in China back then, so that's where I met her. And we actually do a lot of things because she also is a very active person. But we love staying at home. So like we would paint nails and watch Netflixes. Like we love watching American TV shows because there's like we can learn new language from it. And I think there's a lot of advantage of that. So those are the things we do. We also write letters to each other, which might sound a bit weird because, writing letter in front of someone who I'll give that letter to might be like a bit strange, but we love writing letters, so like we just do it anyway. We also love cooking and eating a lot of different food, like we would make pizza or like spaghetti or even like Korean food such as 된장찌개 and all kinds of stuff. Also, like the reason why I spend time with her is because she makes me feel very confident about myself. She always cheers me up whatever I do. Even I failed making 된장찌개, she always say, hey, it's okay, like it happens all the time. So I think that's the reason why I love spending time with her. Also, she is very funny. I like funny person, like, so yeah, I think those are the reason why, yeah, I stay with her.
Yes, that's about 150 there now. Okay, so that's enough for that. All right. So these days, do you meet her often?
Yes, I actually meet her the day before yesterday.
Yeah. But you, apart from staying at home, are there any other activities you like to do?
We actually stay at home most of the time, but we sometimes go to this like cafe. Those are like pretty and like there's a lot of decorations for refreshing us. But like we love staying at home.
Nice. Okay, we'll move on to the third part of the test now. Okay, we'll go on to part 3. All right. So, what kinds of people are easy to get along with?
I would say people who are positive would get along well or like better, because I am more of a positive person than negative person. So it just goes well. It just flows. Like if our characteristic hit off, I think that's the most important thing. Yeah, I think like personality.
And are there any personality characteristics that people usually find it difficult to get along with other people?
It depends on people, but I might say like introvert people is a bit more hard to get along, because since they love staying by themselves. I mean, it depends on that person, but like if she or he loves staying by herself, then I think that would be a bit difficult for people to get along.
Okay. And do you think people spend more time by themselves these days?
These people, yes, due to Corona, the COVID-19 incident, I think that's kind of the thing. I think coronavirus made me an introvert. So I think, yeah, definitely these days.
Okay. Do you think is that a negative development?
I wouldn't say it's negative, because I've learned so much about myself during this period. So it actually helps you figure out like who you really are and get to know yourself better. Yes.
Okay. And do you think it is important for like managers or bosses to get along with their employees?
Definitely, because I want to be a CEO one day. I definitely think being a friendly boss is the way to make their company succeed. Because when they don't talk a lot, I mean, talking and conversation is like the main point of getting along, or like forming making the strengths to move forward. But then if they're not friendly, I don't know how they make that happen. Like, I want to figure out actually, but yeah, that's what I think.
And in your country, is it common for this situation to happen?
Like friendly situations? I think it totally depends on the situations, because some bosses, they're really friendly, but sometimes they're over friendly, which makes the people very uncomfortable. So I think it's important to keep this distance from people, but still keep the friendship. So yeah.
All right. And do younger people like talking with older people?
I'm young people person, so I would say yes, because they have a lot of experience ahead of us because they lived longer. So I think they would love to talk to older people for advices. Yeah.
What is a piece of advice that older people can give younger people? What kind of advice?
I got from my dad that don't be afraid and just try it. That really helped me move forward, because we tend to get afraid of something very easily because we haven't tried it yet. But my dad was like, don't think about it, like how scary it is. Everyone got fear. You just gotta keep that fear in your mind and then move forward. And that really helped me.
All right then, that'll do us. We'll finish there. Thank you. All right. So yeah, to start with the feedback, I'd say your score would be estimated 7.0. I'd say it's a good score. Very fluent with good pronunciation and strong grammar throughout. Obviously, there are some like errors that we can go through and we can look at to improve. If we look at vocabulary, first of all, you used a lot of good phrases. When you're talking about colors, you're saying, you know, black, it goes with everything, white goes with everything. Yeah, some nice expressions. In terms of like errors, so when you talked about your major, what you're studying, and you're studying graphic design besides, you could say that, but maybe like on the side would be better.
On the side.
Yeah, I'm studying graphic design on the side. It means like it's not your main focus, it's kind of like extra. Yeah, so you could say that. Just be careful with plural here. We said like, my dad gave me advices. Make sure it's singular. Yeah, always advice.
Oh, okay.
So always advice. You would say some advice. Some advice. Yeah. Adventure lover. Right. I think a better word there would be adventurous.
And adventurers.
Yeah, like I'm an adventurous person. Adventure lover is not really a common collocation. I would say people say like thrill seeker. That would be a common one. Or an adventurous person. Yeah. One thing as well with introvert. Okay, so introvert is the noun and introverted is the adjective. So when you say you're talking about people, you'd say I'm an introverted person or I'm an introvert. Yeah, either one.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's cool there. That's good. A few phrasing, let's just go through like 2 or 3 of them, okay? You talked about Busan, surrounded by ocean. So, you know, surrounded is kind of like the whole way around. But I would say like Busan is on the coast.
On the coast.
Yeah, I would say like it's on the coast. Also, you could say it's a coastal city. Either one. But like surrounded means with more like an island. It's surrounded.
Okay.
You think about like Jeju surrounded by the ocean. Yeah. Okay. One word we used as well, suitable. Sorry, suitable for my room. Instead of suitable, I would say suit is a better word there. Suit. Yeah. Suitable is more for like the situation. Like if you talk about like a horror movie, it's not suitable for kids. Yeah. Or like if you want to go hiking, if you're wearing like very like thin clothing, it's not suitable for hiking.
I see.
But when you talk about like your style or like a room, like it suits the atmosphere, it suits the room. Yeah. Same way with your clothing, like it suits you. Like blue suits you.
Okay.
All right. A couple of times, maybe like even, I said one time, even though I dislike it, and I think it was in the last question, so it should be here, even if I dislike it.
Oh.
What's the difference?
Even if?
Even if. Even if it's more like it's a possibility. Even though.
It's like statement?
Yeah. So if you say, I tried skiing last winter, even though I disliked it, because it's more definite.
Okay.
But even if it's more like possibility.
I see.
Yeah, so when you're making like a general statement, even if I dislike something.
Even if.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. What else have we got? Just in part 3, just be careful with not giving too much like personal statements. You said like, I got advice from my dad. I want to be a CEO. So in part 3, it's more about like people in general. So just try and keep your answers more generally speaking rather than about you. You can give it as an example, but for example, the last one, do young people like talking with older people? You're like, I'm a younger person.
Yeah.
Or what advice, what my dad gave me. It's more, general in part 3.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it was a really good test overall. You spoke really comfortably.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Guys, done? Did you get some notations, some notes from the feedbacks? Do something, cheer me up. Cool. Perfect. Let's continue with one more speaking or one listening or writing or reading. What? We have 45 minutes or maybe more, as we always had more time. Let's go for one listening from Kombiric. Okay, Kombiric. Done. Test one, part one. Exactly this one. Okay, we are going for this children engineering workshop. Everyone follow me up? Everything is okay? Let's go follow.
IELTS 16. Published by Cambridge University Press and Cambridge Assessment English 2021. This recording is copyright. Test 1. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the answer sheet. Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a man phoning to find out about some children's engineering workshops. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 3. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 3.
Hello, Children's Engineering Workshops.
Oh, hello. I wanted some information about the workshops in the school holidays.
Sure.
I have 2 daughters who are interested. The younger one's Lydia. She's 4. Do you take children as young as that?
Yes, our tiny engineers workshop is for 4 to 5-year-olds.
What sorts of activities do they do?
All sorts. For example, they work together to design a special cover that goes round an egg, so that when it's inside, they can drop it from a height and it doesn't break. Well, sometimes it does break, but that's part of the fun.
Right. And Lydia loves building things. Is there any opportunity for her to do that?
Well, they have a competition to see who can make the highest tower. You'd be amazed how high they can go.
Right.
But they're learning all the time as well as having fun. For example, one thing they do is to design and build a car that's attached to a balloon, and the force of the air in that actually powers the car and makes it move along. They go really fast too.
Okay, well, all this sounds perfect.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 4 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 4 to 10.
Now, Carly, that's my older daughter, has just had her 7th birthday. So, presumably, she'd be in a different group.
Yes, She'd be in the junior engineers. That's for children from 6 to 8.
And do they do the same sorts of activities?
Some are the same, but a bit more advanced. So they work out how to build model vehicles, things like cars and trucks, but also how to construct animals using the same sorts of material and technique. And then they learn how they can program them and make them move.
So they learn a bit of coding.
They do. They pick it up really quickly. We're there to help if they need it, but they learn from one another too.
Right. And do they have competitions too?
Yes. With the junior engineers, it's to use recycled materials like card and wood to build a bridge. And the longest one gets a prize.
That sounds fun. I wouldn't mind doing that myself.
Then they have something a bit different, which is to think up an idea for a 5-minute movie and then film it, using special animation software. You'd be amazed what they come up with.
And of course, that's something they can put on their phone and take home to show all their friends.
Exactly. And then they also build a robot in the shape of a human, and they decorate it and program it so that it can move its arms and legs.
Perfect. So is it the same price as the tiny engineers?
It's just a bit more, £50 for the 5 weeks.
And are the classes on a Monday too?
They used to be, but we found it didn't give our staff enough time to clear up after the first workshop, so we moved them to Wednesdays. The classes are held in the morning from 10 to 11.
Okay, that's better for me actually. And what about the location? Where exactly are the workshops held?
They're in Building 10A. There's a big sign on the door. You can't miss it. And that's in Fradston Industrial Estate.
Sorry?
Fradston. That's Fradston.
And that's in Grassford, isn't it?
Yes, up past the station.
And will I have any parking problems there?
No, there's always plenty available. So, would you like to enroll Lydia and Carly now?
Okay.
So, can I have your full name?
That is the end of Part 1. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 1. Part 2. You will hear the managing director of a company called Stevenson's welcoming a group of work experience students. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 14. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 14.
Good morning everyone and welcome to Stevenson's, one of the country's major manufacturers of metal goods. Thank you for choosing us for your 2 weeks of work experience. My name is Julia Simmons and since the beginning of this year I've been the managing director. Stevenson's is quite an old company. Like me, the founder, Ronald Stevenson, went into the steel industry when he left school. That was in 1923. He set up this company when he finished his apprenticeship in 1926, although he actually started making plans 2 years earlier in 1924. He was a very determined young man. Stevenson's long-term plan was to manufacture components for the machine tools industry, although in fact that never came about, and for the automotive industry, that is cars and lorries. However, there was a delay of 5 years before that happened, because shortly before the company went into production, Stevenson was given the opportunity to make goods for hospitals and other players in the healthcare industry. So that's what we did for the first 5 years. Over the years, we've expanded the premises considerably. We were lucky that the site is big enough, so moving to a new location has never been necessary. However, the layout is far from ideal for modern machinery and production methods, so we intend to carry out major refurbishment of this site over the next 5 years. I'd better give you some idea of what you'll be doing during your 2 weeks with us, so you know what to expect. Most mornings you'll have a presentation from one of the managers to learn about their department, starting this morning with research and development. And you'll all spend some time in each department, observing what's going on and talking to people, as long as you don't stop them from doing their work altogether. In the past, a teacher from your school has come in at the end of each week to find out how the group were getting on, but your school isn't able to arrange that this year.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 15 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 15 to 20.
OK, now I'll briefly help you to orientate yourselves around the site. As you can see, we're in the reception area, which we try to make attractive and welcoming to visitors. There's a corridor running left from here, and if you go along that, the door facing you at the end is the entrance to the coffee room. This looks out onto the main road on one side and some trees on the other, and that'll be where you meet each morning. The factory is the very big room on the far side of the site. Next to it is the warehouse, which can be accessed by lorries going up the road to the turning area at the end. You can get to the warehouse by crossing to the far side of the courtyard, and then the door is on your right. Somewhere you'll be keen to find is the staff canteen. This is right next to reception. I can confidently say that the food's very good, but the view isn't. The windows on one side look onto a corridor and courtyard, which aren't very attractive at all, and on the other onto the access road, which isn't much better. You'll be using the meeting room quite often, and you'll find it by walking along the corridor to the left of the courtyard and continuing along it to the end. The meeting room is the last one on the right, and I'm afraid there's no natural daylight in the room. Then you'll need to know where some of the offices are. The Human Resources Department is at the front of this building, so you head to the left along the corridor from reception, and it's the second room you come to. It looks out onto the main road. And finally, the boardroom, where you'll be meeting sometimes. That has quite a pleasant view, as it looks out onto the trees. Go along the corridor past the courtyard, right to the end. The boardroom is on the left, next to the factory. OK now, are there any questions before we move?
That is the end of Part 2. You now have half a minute to check your answers to Part 2. Part 3. You will hear two students called Jess and Tom discussing their art projects. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 24. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 24.
How are you getting on with your art project, Tom?
Okay. They gave us the theme of birds to base our project on, and I'm not really all that interested in wildlife, but I'm starting to get into it. I've pretty well finished the introductory stage.
So have I. When they gave us all those handouts with details of books and websites to look at, I was really put off. But the more I read, the more interested I got.
Me too. I found I could research so many different aspects of birds in art. Colour, movement, texture. So I was looking forward to the bird park visit.
What a letdown. It poured with rain and we hardly saw a single bird. Much less use than the trip to the Natural History Museum.
Yeah. I liked all the stuff about evolution there. The workshop sessions with Dr. Fletcher were good too, especially the brainstorming sessions.
I missed those because I was ill. I wish we could have seen the projects last year's students did.
I suppose they want us to do our own thing, not copy.
Have you drafted your proposal yet?
Yes, but I haven't handed it in. I need to amend some parts. I've realised the notes from my research are almost all just descriptions. I haven't actually evaluated anything, so I'll have to fix that.
Oh, I didn't know we had to do that. I'll have to look at that too. Did you do a timeline for the project?
Yes, and a mind map.
Yeah, so did I. I quite enjoyed that. But it was hard having to explain the basis for my decisions in my action plan.
What?
You know, give a rationale.
I didn't realise we had to do that. OK, I can add it now. And I've done the video diary presentation and worked out what I want my outcome to be in the project.
Someone told me it's best not to be too precise about your actual outcome at this stage, so you have more scope to explore your ideas later on. So I'm going to go back to my proposal to make it a bit more vague.
Really? OK, I'll change that too then.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 25 to 30. Now listen and answer questions 25 to 30.
One part of the project I'm unsure about is where we choose some paintings of birds and say what they mean to us. Like, I chose a painting of a falcon by Landseer. I like it because the bird's standing there with his head turned to one side, but he seems to be staring straight at you. But I can't just say it's a bit scary, can I?
You could talk about the possible danger suggested by the bird's look.
Oh, okay.
There's a picture of a fish hawk by Audubon I like. It's swooping over the water with a fish in its talons and with great black wings which take up most of the picture.
So you could discuss it in relation to predators and food chains?
Well, actually, I think I'll concentrate on the impression of rapid motion it gives.
Right.
Do you know that picture of a kingfisher by Van Gogh? It's perching on a reed growing near a stream.
Yes, it's got these beautiful blue and red and black shades.
I've actually chosen it because I saw a real kingfisher once when I was little. I was out walking with my grandfather and I've never forgotten it.
Oh, so we can use a personal link?
Sure.
Okay. There's a portrait called William Wells. I can't remember the artist, but it's a middle-aged man who's just shot a bird. And his expression and the way he's holding the bird in his hand suggests he's not sure about what he's done. To me, it's about how ambiguous people are in the way they exploit the natural world.
Interesting. There's Gauguin's picture via a Matty. He did it in Tahiti. It's a woman with a white bird behind her that is eating a lizard. And what I'm interested in is what idea this bird refers to. Apparently, it's a reference to the never-ending cycle of existence.
Wow. I chose a portrait of a little boy, Giovanni de' Medici. He's holding a tiny bird in one fist. I like the way he's holding it carefully so he doesn't hurt it.
Oh, right.
That is the end of part 3. You now have half a minute to check your answers to part 3. Part 4. You will hear a professor of philosophy giving a talk on the ancient philosophy of Stoicism. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
Ancient philosophy is not just about talking or lecturing or even reading long, dense books. In fact, it is something people have used throughout history to solve their problems and to achieve their greatest triumphs. Specifically, I am referring to Stoicism, which in my opinion is the most practical of all philosophies and therefore the most appealing. Stoicism was founded in ancient Greece by Zeno of Citium in the early 3rd century BC, but was practiced by the likes of Epictetus, Cato, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius. Amazingly, we still have access to these ideas, despite the fact that the most famous Stoics never wrote anything down for publication. Cato definitely didn't. Marcus Aurelius never intended his meditations to be anything but personal. Seneca's letters were, well, letters, and Epictetus's thoughts come to us by way of a note-taking student. Stoic principles were based on the idea that its followers could have an unshakable happiness in this life, and the key to achieving this was virtue. The road to virtue, in turn, lay in understanding that destructive emotions like anger and jealousy are under our conscious control. They don't have to control us, because we can learn to control them. In the words of Epictetus, external events I cannot control, but the choices I make with regard to them I do control. The modern-day philosopher and writer Nassim Nicholas Taleb defines a Stoic as someone who has a different perspective on experiences which most of us would see as wholly negative. A Stoic transforms fear into caution, pain into transformation, mistakes into initiation, and desire into undertaking. Using this definition as a model, we can see that throughout the centuries, Stoicism has been practiced in more recent history by kings, presidents, artists, writers, and entrepreneurs. The founding fathers of the United States were inspired by the philosophy. George Washington was introduced to Stoicism by his neighbours at age 17, and later put on a play based on the life of Cato to inspire his men. Thomas Jefferson kept a copy of Seneca beside his bed. Writers and artists have also been inspired by the Stoics. Eugene Delacroix, the renowned French Romantic artist, known best for his painting Liberty Leading the People, was an ardent Stoic, referring to it as his consoling religion. The economist Adam Smith's theories on capitalism were significantly influenced by the Stoicism that he studied as a schoolboy, under a teacher who had translated Marcus Aurelius's works. Today's political leaders are no different, with many finding their inspiration from the ancient texts. Former US President Bill Clinton rereads Marcus Aurelius every single year, and many have compared former President Obama's calm leadership style to that of Cato. Wen Jiabao, the former Prime Minister of China, claims that Meditations is one of 2 books he travels with, and that he has read it more than 100 times over the course of his life. Stoicism had a profound influence on Albert Ellis, who invented cognitive behavior therapy, which is used to help people manage their problems by changing the way that they think and behave. It's most commonly used to treat depression. The idea is that we can take control of our lives by challenging the irrational beliefs that create our faulty thinking, symptoms, and behaviors by using logic instead. Stoicism has also become popular in the world of business. Stoic principles can build the resilience and state of mind required to overcome setbacks, because Stoics teach turning obstacles into opportunity, a lesson every business entrepreneur needs to learn. I would argue that studying Stoicism is as relevant today as it was 2,000 years ago, thanks to its brilliant insights into how to lead a good life. At the very root of the thinking, there is a very simple way of living. Control what you can and accept what you can't. This is not as easy as it sounds and will require considerable practice. It can take a lifetime to master. The Stoics also believed the most important foundation for a good and happy life is not money, fame, power, or pleasure, but having a disciplined and principled character, something which seems to resonate with many people today.
That is the end of Part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to Part 4.
Okay, have you follow this last part? Have you followed? It's not hard actually. It's not hard. The thing and the trick for the part. Oh, thank you so much for your negative. The thing for the last part, part four, is that they ask you, as you heard, they ask you to follow all the 10 questions at the same time. And they start to talk about the question number 31 to 40. But the thing here is they had some kind of unwritten unwritten delay at, at the middle, exactly at the point that in other section he asks you to stop and read the, for example, 25 to 30. In other sections you had something like this: please read, understand 25 to 30. Done. You had time to read, understand, follow what is going on in this, the second part. But the second part of one of these sections. But in part 4, in section 4, they do not say go for the second section of part 4. They just had some delay. They just have some delays. For example, for about 10 seconds. In these 10 seconds, you have to read, understand, and follow what is going on in the rest. And be aware, this is the most difficult part. So you have to you have to earn sometimes from these 3 easy parts to use in this difficult part. Okay, you have to read them before even you listen to it. You have to read these questions to understand it. What is the overall general idea of what is going on in the last difficult part? But if you answer all those 3 parts correctly, you can dismiss this one completely, go for some relaxation. And then at the end, you will have some time, as you see in the part 4. Part 4 ended at 7-7, and it has 8 to 8:25. Maybe you can see this here. Okay, what does this 1 minute means? This 1 minute means you have time to bring all your answers to the answer sheet and check them. But the thing here is, if you try to be Cristiano Ronaldo for the listening part, okay, you will be faster. Okay, you will be Usain Bolt in the listening part. What? How can you be Usain Bolt in listening part? It is easy. You have to write the answers directly to the answer sheet correctly, but you have to write it correctly, and then come and check. And in most of the case, if you're an experienced expert listening person, you do not even need to reread all the answers. But it's a little bit tricky. You have to be 100% assured that all your answers are correct, grammarly and vocabulary. Okay, this is the listening, and that one is speaking. You have to listen to all these 2 sections every day. Every day. Do not go for the tatal, do not go for the shajariyan. Just listen to these things for your listening and speaking. Okay, now let's go for a quick 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 writing sample candidate writing script and examiner comment. Okay, okay, done. Task 1. Look, in the chart below, show the number of men and women in further education in Britain in 3 periods and whether they were studying full-time or part-time. Men, women, 3 different periods, full-time, part-time. Summarize the information by selecting and reporting the main features and make comparison where relevant. Look, full-time education, full black. Part-time education, gray. 3 different periods. 1970, 1980. 1990, 1970, 1980, 1000. Men and women in further education by 1000. 200, 400, 600, 800, 1000, 1020, male, female. Okay, these are for the male, these are for the woman. You got it? Full-time, part-time. Full-time, part-time man, full-time, part-time man, female. Let's see what he wrote. This is a bar chart of the number of men and women in future education in Britain in 3 periods. In 1970, most of the men were studying part-time, but from 1980, studying part-time was decreased and studying full-time was increased. And in 1980, it was twice as many students as in 1970. On the other hand, women studying full-time were increased, and not only full-time, part-time also were increased. In 1990, studying full-time was 3 times as many students as in 1970. If compare men and women, as you see in 1970, men were studying more than women full-time or part-time, but it changed from 1980, and then in 1990, women were studying part-time more than men, and studying full-time was some number was same number. It shows you women has a high education now. The graph is given, is written by the student. Okay, but the point here is the structure of his writing was so basic. If I was an examiner, I would give him 5 from 5. Yes, he used many words like increased, like decreased, like as many a student as, like on the other hand, like if compare men and women. Yes, they are good, but they are good. They are not perfect. So you have to be aware of these type of expression. These expressions are keywords in your writing, and you have to know them. And the ability to make them in a higher level is your duty during these next 3 months. Okay, let's go for the. Thank you so much. Hey, wait. And this is something called the sample answer sheet. You have to read, you have to write them here. This is for task 2, and this is for task 1. You have to write something here as well. Or maybe the institute will write it for you, but I don't know which one. Okay, let's go for task 2. Okay, cool. Task 2, easy. Advantage and disadvantages. Expository version. Okay, perfect. In some countries, young people are encouraged to work or travel for a year between finishing high school and starting university studies. Discuss the advantage and disadvantage for young people who decide to do this. Remember, you have some kind of general version, general copy. For example, advantage or disadvantage, or the question to some extent means how much do you believe, do you accept, or do you reject, or you are disagree with some ideas, with some sentence. Here he is talking about the delay, the gap between the study in higher education and in high school, and let's say doing some work or something. Here you can see 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. You have 4 paragraphs. In first paragraph, you have to write the answer, the question in a something, your idea, your speaking language. Okay, you have to write it in your own language. You have to write it again, paraphrase it, not exactly paraphrase it, but yes, it is paraphrasing. Okay, who wants to read this one? Who wants to read this one? It is typed by computer, so it is easy to follow everything. In various nations around the world, many people advocate taking a gap year in order to work or travel before beginning one's tertiary education. While this offers a few advantages, there are also some disadvantages which are worth considering. There are 2 main benefits of a student traveling or working. No one wants to read it. Okay, I will read it. No matter. Benefits to a student traveling or working before their university education. Firstly, through traveling, they will be able to expand their horizons. Horizons means horizon means فوق دید مثلا بگیم زاویه دید یا مثلا بگیم نگرش. When students go overseas, they will be exposed to different cultures and customs. As a result, they will gain a deeper understanding of the world. In addition, students who work will learn to appreciate the value of money. This is because they will realize the hard work involved in earning money. Consequently, they would think more before purchasing anything they desire and may become less impulsive in their spending. Who wants to continue? Who wants to continue? Thank you so much for your eagerness. Okay. Okay. On the other hand, various drawbacks means negative points, may be noted. In the first place, traveling could cause people to feel homesick. Homesick means دلتنگ خونه. Many students have not been apart from their family and friends before, so when they travel, they may miss these people. Miss means دلتنگ شد. In extreme circumstances, in در شرایط extreme, circumstances means شرایط, condition, or situation. Students may even become depressed. depression میگیرن. این یه چیزیه که توی وضعیت تحصیلیتون it would be really affect your study, your, I don't know, daily life, everything. Additionally, students who work may not want to return to their studies. The reason for this is that they may enjoy earning money and becoming financially independent. This is really important for everyone. And therefore, their whole future could be negatively affected, as these days it is very important for everyone to graduate with a degree in order to be competitive in the job market. This is the real important reason that you have to think seriously about the apply and study abroad. Be competitive, be eligible. The problem of our country these days is that we are not able to compete. This is the truth. I don't know who I'm talking about religiously. Are you with the government or not? But this is the truth. We are not capable for any kind of fight, compete, anything with other countries at any point, at any level. We are not able, and this is the truth. In conclusion, if students take a gap year, they could gain invaluable experience invaluable, and learn to become more independent in relationship to money. However, they may also become homesick and then end up not continue their studies. Therefore, it is necessary to weigh the benefits against the drawbacks carefully before coming to a decision as to whether students should go on such a adventure. اینجا جمله میخ نهایی رو کوبید بچه. حواستون باشه. Be aware of this. At this stage, he put the last, I don't know, needle to the grave. Okay, done. In the last sentence, he said that they should make some balances. Okay, shall we continue? Should we continue? Shall we continue? Everyone, thank you so much for your attention. Continue. One person said yes. We are going to talk about the reading part. I will not, because the reading part, in reading part, we have 12 different type of questions. Okay, 12 different type of questions. And all of them are so closely related, so closely tricky to each other. Okay, so the thing here is, the important point is you have to read it, the whole passage. The whole passage, you have to read the whole passage. Okay, and no matter what is the speed of your reading, you have to start reading. Okay, we will go for reading, and this is our reading. Where is it? Reading test 21. Oh, OCD, Signophilia, stress, hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. Okay, you should spend about 20 minutes on questions 1 to 13, which are based on reading passage 1 below. Disorders. An overview. Who wants to read? Who wants to read? Among you guys, who wants to read? Children with autistic spectrum disorder have difficulty understanding what other people are saying, need help to play with other children, enjoy routines, and find unfamiliar situations difficult. People with autistic spectrum disorder can be good at creative activities like art, music, and poetry. They can concentrate on one thing for a long time. No, they can become very good at something that they like doing. ADHD, attention deficit. Many of Iranian children have this ADHD, hyperextension disorder. I don't know, something like that. We cannot concentrate, and we try to make everything so fast and everything. Okay. People with ADHD have 3 types of problems: overactive behavior, hyperactivity, impulsive behavior, and difficulty paying attention. Children with ADHD are not just very active, but have a wide range of problem behaviors, which can make them very difficult to care for and control. Those who have ADHD often find it difficult to fit in at school. They may also have problems getting on with other children. Getting on means being started friendship. Some children have significant problems with concentration and attention, but are not necessarily overactive or impulsive. These children are sometimes described as having attention deficit disorder, ADD, rather than ADHD. ADD can easily be missed because the child is quiet and dreamy rather than disruptive. ADHD is not related to intelligence. Children with all level of ability can have ADHD. Did you understand what was the topic about? Be aware of the question. Look at the statement, question 1 to 5, and list disorder A to G below. Match the statement with the correct disorder A to G. So you have something here and you have something here. So when you have, look, 5 sentences and find disorder, you have to read all the passage for find the exact point of what disorder is, how expressed in this type of the sentences. So when you have sentences disorder like this, all the questions, you have to read the passage. When you have to read the passage, you have to increase the speed of reading. Okay? For all you guys that you want to take IELTS, TOEFL, I don't know. Maybe at the middle of the way you want to change your path. I want to take the TOEFL. But even in TOEFL, you have to be able to read fast, because reading English in fast ways, it's the easiest way to pass all the questions in reading. Believe me or not, at the middle of the exam, you will bring everything on to let me read it. And this is the point. Okay, perfect, perfect. Look, guys, there is some, yes, it is difficult because it is the real IELTS reading. And you can find something from these real IELTS readings. For example, here, from the standpoint of classic conditioning. Look, guys, you can use this standpoint of classic conditioning in your writing. You can use this one in your writing. Exactly like when it's called, for example, however. When it's used however, and you use however in your writing easily. So you can use this point from the standpoint of classic conditioning, from the standpoint of classic point of view, from the classic point of view, from this standpoint. You can use this kind of concatenation of this standpoint and classic, okay, to express something at the end point. Okay, and this is done. Look, all the questions, question 6 to 9, complete the table below. Write no more than 3 words from the passage for each answer. میگه اگه if you want talking about a disorder, personally trait exhibited by the sufferers, and autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit disorder, schizophrenia, and here you are not allowed to more than 3 words. You are not allowed to write more than 3 words. So here at most 3. Here at most 3. My response to experiences episodes of the diseases by behaving in a very something. Because of this, you have to go to schizophrenia and find this statement and fill it like this. Okay, by this one, we will finish the course here. Our 2 hours and maybe 30 minutes journey for understanding what is IELTS is finished. Thank you so much, Arzu, Aida, Shahla, Sarina, and Masa, Arzu, and Amin. Everything was perfect. Everything was great. Thank you so much. I will share this whole, let's say, introduction IELTS on the YouTube. And you can follow it, and we will go for other sessions. If you are accepted, we can have these continuing courses in next weeks as well. And just bring all your attention, bring all your energy for this path, because it's not like just, okay, I got my admission for everything, PhD, postdoc, master, I got my admission. No, exactly the rest, all the fights and war will start after you got that letter. So with all your attention and energy, let's keep going. Thank you so much for everything. Thank you so much for your attention, and see you guys on I don't know, Thursday, Friday, anytime you can talk to me, and see you soon. Thank you so much. Follow me on LinkedIn, follow me on Instagram, follow me on subscribe on YouTube, and good night.